We're starting with WWE, who since 2018 has worked with Saudi Arabia to bring its brand of wrestling to the country, and later this year, the two sides will reach a new milestone. For the sixth time in the last 7 years, WWE will host its Crown Jewel event during Riyadh season, and while we know the show will air on November 2nd, that won't be all. It's now been confirmed that the post-Crown Jewel Raw will also air from Riyadh, and that the Crown Jeweled Raw duo will take place over 2 consecutive days. That means that after Crown Jewel on November 2nd, Raw will be taped on Sunday, November 3rd, but still will be broadcast at its usual Monday time slot. This marks the first time Raw has aired from Saudi Arabia, and follows on from the Smackdown before King and Queen of the Ring also being taped in Saudi Arabia earlier this year. If history is anything to go by, Crown Jewel will feature WWE's very top superstars, and fans in Riyadh will get more wrestling action for their money this November. On Raw, Bronson Reed took his path of destruction to literal new heights as he scaled a concrete parking barrier wall to deliver a devastating splash to Braun Strowman on a car. Given the size of both men, it comes as no surprise that this did significant damage to the car roof and much more damage to the monster among men. Fightful Select reports that the camera production crew were supposed to wear protective eye and ear wear to keep them safe as the car's windows shattered under the weight of the attack. At the last moment though, as the spot took place, nobody was wearing this protective equipment, but while pieces of glass did spray out, nobody was injured. WWE's camera crew were very fortunate this time around, but they won't always get so lucky if they don't take the proper safety measures when filming dangerous spots like these. Over to Dynamite as Jon Moxley made his return to AEW programming on this week's show after being absent since his loss at Forbidden Door. In the ring, Moxley met Tony Schiavone and said he was there to address Darby Allin, saying it was time they had a talk, and added that he wouldn't be hard to find. Allin was missing from last night's broadcast, and after his initial announcement, Moxley re-entered the ring with a more serious tone and addressed Tony Schiavone directly. Moxley warned that this is not your company anymore, before abruptly exiting, leaving the veteran broadcaster and fans in attendance confused. Interestingly, Shane McMahon's name trended on Twitter after that line, as fans speculated that Moxley was referencing WWE's prodigal son as the potential new owner of AEW. Later in the night, Moxley was seen exiting the arena, but stopped to speak to 2 backstage crew members, but they were taken down by Marina Shafir. Shafir, who appeared out of nowhere, had a stare down with Moxley, and the pair left together, but not before Shafir made another impact, taking down the cameraman. The pair were clearly hinting at a possible new alliance, which could mean bad news for both the men's and women's division, and will give 2 very talented wrestlers a direction on TV. This situation is one to watch closely, as Moxley was hinting at some serious shifts in AEW's landscape. And what do you think of this possible new alliance? Let us know down below. At All In, Will Ospreay and MJF held nothing back in their quest to leave Wembley with gold, and in the match, Ospreay inadvertently took out a cameraman when attempting a hidden blade. According to Fightful Select's Corey Brennan, the cameraman was Chuck Mambo, one half of the tag team Sunshine Machine, alongside TK Cooper. This bump was one of many for Mambo, who, as part of Sunshine Machine, wrestled over All In weekend for promotions including Rev Pro, North, Riot Cabaret, and Progress. The Sunshine Machine even won the Rev Pro tag titles from grizzled young veterans who had their own role at All In, as it was one busy weekend for the stars of the UK scene. On Dynamite, a frustrated MJF arrived to the ring complaining about a splitting headache, and to chants of "Shut up," he lamented the recent losses he's been dealing with. These include losing his Dynamite Diamond Ring and his title at All In London, and MJF also claimed to be dealing with herniated discs in his spine. With his days as AEW American Champion behind him, an angry MJF renounced his American citizenship, stating he wanted nothing to do with this garbage country. The only exception was MJF's beloved Long Island, and the Burberry-clad wrestler also lashed out at the fans who he believes have shown him no respect. MJF said AEW is a circus without him, and then turned his ire to the man who beat him at All In, Will Ospreay, and vowed to screw over Will just when he's about to win the AEW World title. Vengeance, he promised, is on the way, and that plan also includes getting payback on the scum of the earth Daniel Garcia, who made his return to AEW programming at All In. This was Daniel Garcia's cue to enter the ring and attack MJF as he sought revenge on the man who tried to end his career just a few weeks ago. Security intervened, but the distraction allowed MJF to regain control and unleash a brutal assault on Garcia, but Garcia was able to get the upper hand later on. Garcia almost got that top rope pile driver on MJF, but security intervened, and grabbing the mic, he said that he pawned off the Dynamite Diamond ring for a plane ticket. Garcia had some shocking words for MJF, stating that ruining your life is my fetish, and shared that Tony Khan has booked a match between them for All Out on September 7th. Garcia plans on costing MJF everything at All Out, just like he did at All In when he emerged in a mask and prevented the scumbag from using brass knuckles on Will Ospreay. According to Fightful Select, Garcia was backstage throughout the entire day, wearing a mask to conceal his identity until his surprise return during All In at Wembley Stadium. Now Garcia will get his hands on MJF in a match, and with so much bad blood between the two, expect violence in abundance at All Out next weekend. As we reported yesterday, Machine Gun Kelly had an encounter with Randy Orton at SummerSlam, which resulted in the award-winning artist telling the Viper, "You." That's at least what MGK has said, though in a tweet, Orton tagged the artist and used a Pinocchio-inspired emoji, suggesting that Kelly was making the whole situation up. In the comments, Kelly didn't take Orton's insinuation lying down, as he said that cameras were rolling and demanded Orton to tell WWE to put the footage out into the world. Kelly also stated that Orton has his number and suggested there's a unique reason for that, but added that, "I won't even put you on blast for that," and told the Viper to check his texts. MGK ended this post with a Pinocchio emoji of his own for good measure, implying that it's Randy who's being dishonest about things, and both sides are sticking to their stories. We can't say for sure if this will lead to an encounter on WWE TV, but one has to think that there's talks of bringing MGK back to programming, given his war of words with the Viper. As part of WWE's new era, gone are the days of incredibly long, exhausting premium live events, as the company clearly prefers shorter cards, even if some fans don't. Some believe that these shorter cards ultimately harm WWE superstars, as there are now less opportunities for talent to appear at the company's major monthly events. Fightful Select reports that WWE plans to continue with shorter premium live event match cards, as they have been pleased with the results from the shows so far. The belief is that this format works well as it helps Raw and Smackdown, especially the latter, which will often take place in the same city as the next night's PLE. This makes the overall process easier for WWE, as they don't have to travel across the country or even further after hosting Smackdown just to host a PLE somewhere else. Speaking with Fightful, Sami Zayn discussed WWE's ongoing PLE format and why he isn't sure what exactly to make of these shorter cards. Yeah, I have mixed feelings on it, because certainly as a performer, if you're not figured in, like with 7 or 8 matches, there's a little more real estate and there's a better chance of getting on, but now, even if you're in a pretty prominent story, it still just might not make the cut. It's not to say anything of the quality of your story or the quality of your performances, but it just might not be factored in. If there's only 5 matches, 5 is really not a lot, but it's a quality over quantity sort of mentality, which is hard to disagree with. I do think it's been better. Do you feel WWE premium live events should have more matches, or the current trend of shorter cards is better? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. With Pat McAfee stepping away from WWE to focus on ESPN's College Game Day, WWE is shaking up its commentary teams with new pairings for Raw and SmackDown. Starting September 2nd, Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett will be the new voices of WWE Raw, with Tessitore joining WWE back in July with a background in broadcasting with ESPN. As for SmackDown, Michael Cole and Corey Graves will call the action from September 13th, which also marks SmackDown's premiere on the USA Network. Are you excited for these new broadcast teams? What other changes do you expect WWE to make when both Raw and SmackDown move to new homes? Let us know in the comments. Dynamite ended with Bryan Danielson celebrating his AEW World Championship victory from All In, and the Champaign, Illinois crowd was hyped to see the veteran look so happy. Getting down to business, Danielson brought up that he's not under contract, that he needs neck surgery, and that his family wants him home, and has had a lot to think about since All In. Putting any rumors to bed, Danielson said he won't retire as world champion and will fight for the title as much as he can, but confirmed his full-time career will end when he loses the gold. Danielson then turned his attention to All Out and said he's ready to defend his title on a first-come, first-served basis, and that's when Jack Perry showed up on the screen with his TNT title. Fresh off his coffin match victory over Darby Allin, Perry jumped Danielson from behind and, after flooring the American Dragon with a running knee, posed with the TNT and World titles. The image of Perry with both championships closed what was a solid Dynamite, which served its role well after the explosive All In pay-per-view. It did a great job of addressing most of the big developments from the pay-per-view while continuing the build-up for All Out in just 10 days' time. Having two pay-per-views close together means the next week of AEW TV has a lot of work to do, but if AEW can manage it, All Out can be a great show with short build, just like last year. But what's your take on Danielson as AEW World Champion? Did Tony Khan make the right call taking the title off of Swerve Strickland? Let us know what you think in the comments section. After his high-profile debut in the Casino Gauntlet match at All In, Ricochet brought the fight to Kyle Fletcher in the first AEW singles bout for the one and only. Fletcher did a fantastic job of looking like a young talent who did not want to be upstaged by Ricochet, who wasn't going to hold back in such a crucial match for him. Ricochet hit plenty of high-flying moves, but also did a tremendous job selling for Fletcher, making the Don Callis family member look like a genuine threat. Once again, Ricochet delivered in an AEW ring, and Fightful Select reports that there was a lot of positive feedback surrounding his debut in Wembley Stadium, as one would expect. Subverting expectations, Ricochet didn't win with some high-flying maneuver, but instead a modified reverse DDT called Vertigo, ending a match fans would love to see again. Will Ospreay came out to confront Ricochet, exciting fans who remember the classic they had years earlier, but when he put the international title down, he was blindsided by Pac. Pac took his all-out opponent out with a reverse Hurricane Rana on the stage and welcomed Ricochet to AEW with the warning, "Get to the back of the line." Ricochet is off to an interesting start and certainly has potential as he embarks on his all-elite tenure. And what have you made so far of the WWE alum in AEW? Sound off in the comments. Right now, Drew McIntyre is in possession of CM Punk's bracelet bearing the name of Punk's wife and dog, and this piece of jewelry has resulted in plenty of mind games from the Scot. McIntyre has repeatedly taunted Punk with the bracelet, which was gifted to Punk by a fan, but while Drew owns the item in question, the bracelet will remain relatively safe. Speaking to Haley Miller of Comic Book, McIntyre was asked if he had plans for the bracelet and made clear one thing he won't do is destroy the item. He said, "It comes with me everywhere. What am I gonna do with it? I don't know. I toy with the idea of breaking it, but that's just too easy. It causes him just so much emotional hurt and stress, it's hilarious. Over something that's, just a piece of trash to me. Once I take him out of wrestling and I get surgery for my arm for all the high fives I'm given for taking Punk out of wrestling, I'll probably frame it and put it in a nice little glass frame. Put it above my mantle and look at my greatest achievement. Not wrestling the main event at WrestleMania, multiple world titles, holding the place together when the world shut down during the pandemic. Now taking CM Punk out of wrestling, my #1 achievement. I also was in a real movie, which he's never done. Straight to DVD, Punk." McIntyre and Punk will collide at Bash in Berlin in a strap match, which will see the pair hold nothing back. And what do you think is to come for both men and this bracelet? Hangman Adam Page defeated Tomohiro Ishii on Dynamite, only to be confronted by Swerve Strickland after the match, and Swerve criticized Page for acting like a child. With the crowd firmly behind Strickland, the pair were nose to nose, and Swerve acknowledged his own failure at All In, but said that he'll always be seen as a world champion. The two went back and forth until it was announced that a steel cage match will take place at All Out, giving the card another exciting match and another epic showdown between the two. With that said, a recent report by Fightful Select stated Swerve Strickland revealed earlier this year that there were initial plans for additional matches in his feud with Hangman Page. In fact, there were plans for a steel cage match slated for December 2023, but after their intense Texas death match, it was decided to keep the cage match for a later time. Swerve also mentioned that during their initial feud, Hangman Page's wife was pregnant with the couple's second child, so Page took time off for paternity leave earlier this year. AEW was fortunately aware of how long Page would be out of action, and it has been planned well in advance as part of his contract, but this time off meant he couldn't appear during the feud. With his long-awaited steel cage match now made official, expectations are through the roof as fans are expecting another violent encounter between these bitter rivals at All Out. But what are your thoughts on Adam Page colliding with Swerve Strickland in a steel cage match at AEW All Out? Sound off in the comments. In tag team action on Dynamite, the Conglomeration faced off against the Learning Tree and Roderick Strong, and this match finished with controversy. FTW champion Hook had Strong in the Red Rum chokehold, and though Strong had his foot on the rope, the ref didn't see it and called the match when Strong tapped out. The match may have ended, but the 8 competitors involved continued to slug it out after the bell, and with Hook isolated in the ring, Strong's Undisputed Kingdom allies aided in a beatdown. Strong KO'd Hook with a high knee and posed with the FTW Championship, making it abundantly clear that he has his sights on the gold regained by Hook at All In London. If so, this seemingly marks the end of Hook's lengthy feud with Chris Jericho, but there will be no time to rest for the cold-hearted handsome devil, as he's now a target of the Undisputed Kingdom. Outside the ring, Chris Jericho has held many roles in entertainment, and now the AEW original is returning to the world of horror to once again team with Art the Clown. This week, a new trailer dropped for Terrifier 3, which shows Sienna Shaw, as played by Lauren Lavera, and Elliot Fulham's Jonathan Show once again in the crosshairs of the Killer Clown. Art will once again be played by David Howard Thornton, and this film will take place 5 years after the last installment, and will also see the return of Jericho. Towards the end of the trailer, fans were treated to seeing Jericho reprise his role as Burke after first appearing in the previous film's post-credits scene. This tease of Jericho has left fans eager to see what's to come for his character, and with Terrifier 3 set to hit theaters on Friday, October 11th, those fans won't have to wait much longer. At SummerSlam, Jacob Fatu delivered a painful top rope splash onto Cody Rhodes through the announce table, but at the time, it was feared Fatu had done more damage to himself. Fatu played no role in Roman Reigns' return later in the match, and the fear of fans that he'd been hurt only grew when Fatu was spotted wearing a protective walking boot. Thankfully, this injury was for show, as we previously reported that it was a kayfabe injury designed to keep Fatu away from a showdown with Roman Reigns. In fact, on last week's Smackdown, the injured Fatu handed over his WWE Tag title to Tonga Loa, an act that many feel will keep Fatu free to pursue singles gold of his own. At a WWE live event this week, Loa and Tama Tonga defended their WWE Tag titles, but the real story was that Fatu was with them and was no longer wearing his protective boot. While Fatu was not injured, the removal of the boot means fans can expect to see much more of him in the ring from here on, which spells bad news for others on the SmackDown roster. SummerSlam also saw Logan Paul's reign as US champion, the longest reign of the past decade, come to an end, as LA Knight finally got the big win fans have been itching to see. Knight's win was not without controversy though, as during the decisive pinfall, Paul's foot appeared to bounce off the ropes, raising questions as to whether this pin was legitimate. On his Impulsive podcast, the Maverick finally addressed his loss and the controversy surrounding his defeat in Cleveland, as he said, "At the end of the day, it's always going to be my belt. It's my belt. I see it on him, but everyone knows that US title is mine. So you can have it for now, for the time being, but I'm coming back for a rematch because I don't know if y'all saw, my foot was on the rope. It was on the rope on number 3. 1, 2, and my foot just bounced off the ropes. In wrestling terms, that means it doesn't count." Paul's frustration was palpable as he spoke about the title he still believes belongs to him, though Knight has already had more title defenses at WWE live events than Paul ever did. LA Knight has thrown out an open challenge for his US title either for tomorrow's SmackDown or Bash in Berlin, and could we be seeing a rematch with Paul so soon? Time will tell. But what do you think? Will Logan Paul get his rematch and reclaim the US title? Or are you seeking a longer reign for LA Knight with the gold? Stay tuned to find out. On Dynamite, Mercedes Mone threw a party to celebrate her all-in victory with Camille by her side, but the two were interrupted by Private Party, with Isaiah Cassidy making a pass at the CEO. That earned Cassidy a push from Mone's henchwoman, and the segment also saw Kazuchika Okada, who instructed Mone on how to use a Japanese parting dig at Zay and Quen. Like much of Dynamite, this segment was shared by AEW to Twitter, but Camille was not tagged in the tweet despite her involvement, and she called out Tony Khan's promotion for the oversight. Camille's tweet has since been deleted, and All Elite Wrestling has evidently managed to edit the caption of the post to include the North Carolina native, who is now tagged in the video. After her title win at All In, Mariah May exuded confidence on the post-show media scrum as she delivered a eulogy for former Women's World Champion Toni Storm. This became a standout moment of the media scrum, and the new champion was riding high on that momentum as she arrived in Champaign for Dynamite this week. After promising something epic, May's celebration was highly anticipated, but she left fans in Champaign disappointed when she postponed her celebration plans. May said she wouldn't be celebrating in the town, which she said should be renamed to Stale Piss-Warm Beer, earning heat from the crowd as she said the town needed some glamour. The ever-dramatic May, clad in a robe, teased the audience by announcing she would show them what she meant and disrobed to reveal her black lingerie and the AEW Women's title. May isn't afraid to stir the pot, and her commanding presence is already making her a formidable champion, even though it's unclear who she'll step into the ring with at All Out. After getting booed in her own country, May is proving to be a force to be reckoned with, and her next move will be one to watch as she continues to take AEW by storm. What's your take on the AEW Women's Division's booking situation right now? Do you think that Mariah May will carry that title for long? Let us know what you think in the comments section. And we're ending with Jamie Hayter, and in her first match in over a year, she defeated Harley Cameron in a short but predictable encounter that made Hayter look great. Cameron did a good job selling for her and surprisingly took control early into the bout, but the result was never in question as Hayter got the win with a clothesline.